daily update from our local emergency management director, Mark Poirier.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thanks everybody for joining us. Today's numbers for Massachusetts, 46,023 cases and 2,360 deaths. In the U.S., we have 886,706 cases with 50,243 deaths. We also have 85,922 recovered at this time. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Mark, very much. Next up, from our public health nurse, Esther Martone.
Martone,
sorry.
Nope, that's okay. Everyone does that. Good morning. So
Good morning.
Our numbers for this morning, we are up to 214 residents that have been tested, 67 confirmed cases, 34 current, 31 recovered, and 2 deaths.
Okay, very good. Yesterday, we tried to connect with Jean Owen, a local representative from Owen Financial Services. She's got some tax information for us. We do have her on the phone today, and we'll hook her up now. Jean, welcome to the program this morning.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you.
Very good. Glad to have you on board.
Thank you. Okay, so as far as the taxes go, the IRS and the state of Massachusetts did extend the filing deadline until July 15th. You can file ahead of that, but you don't have to, if you do owe, you don't have to pay until July 15th. If you need more time after that, we can file an extension, which will give you until October 15th to file. As far as the business goes, we're not seeing people face to face, but we are doing a lot of tax returns. People are dropping them off or they're mailing them in to us. For my business, we also have a secure portal where we can set up a password for you. You download all your information, we do the tax return, and then send it back to you. Here, we're also trying to help out a lot of the small businesses fill out the paperwork so they can get their paycheck protection plan loans through the SBA. So we have a lot of options to help people in the community. They just need to give us a call. And like I said, we do most everything through drop-off and mail.
Jean, just a couple questions for me. I filed my own taxes, and I noticed that for the IRAs, those are extended also till July 15th.
Yes, they are. Yep.
And how about for your business? What percentage of your typical business that you'd have done by April 15th are you seeing done now that still have people that have to wait till July 15th or between now and July 15th?
I'm actually pretty good. I figure I'm probably about 75, 80% of my clients have already come in, or I have them sitting here in a pile right now. We did get a little behind with the personal tax returns because I was trying to help out all the local businesses, but we're getting caught up now, and we're just waiting for everyone else to send in their paperwork.
So, Dennis just asked a question regarding taxes. I know that the senior center in the past has done tax preparation work. Do we have that this year, or is that something that's not available because of the situation?
I think it's not available right now because of the situation. I'm sure that the senior center director, if somebody calls and is looking for assistance, then she can help them over the phone or by appointment, that type of thing. But obviously it's not something where anybody's going to the senior center for that type of interaction, but they would have to call the director to make an appointment right now.
Jean, we thank you for being on the phone. If someone wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Okay, so it's Owen Financial Services. We're right on 6 Mendon Street in Bellingham. The best number is 508-966-7136.
Yeah, well, I'll get a question from Dennis Frayne.
We had a question today, Gene, relative to the unemployment, the CARES Act, the $600. I was told that that's not taxable. Is that taxable or not? Because obviously one of the questions that's asked when you apply for unemployment is, do you want federal and state taxes taken out? Because typically unemployment, my understanding, is taxable. But what about the $600 CARES Act?
Originally, I thought it wasn't taxable, but recently we did find out that it is taxable. And when you sign up through unemployment, if you opt to have taxes taken out of the regular state unemployment, they also take it out of the federal.
Okay, so, and they do that if you ask, but you can actually get the whole amount and not pay taxes, which would not seem to be advisable, correct?
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, I always suggest to people to have the taxes taken out.
Great. All right.
And now unemployment is also just opened up to the self-employed person as well, which has never been done before.
Excellent. And that CARES Act, the $600 unemployment bump, if you know, that is through July 31st. Is that when that's funded through?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
It's
you
always
very much for
appreciated.
having me.
Thanks for calling in. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Gene.
Thanks. Next up on our agenda is a report from Bruce Wilson, our health agent. Bruce?
Hello, everybody. The biggest thing I have to report is the Board of Health had enacted an order for face masks or facial coverings when you're out in the public. That has been posted on our webpage and on the Facebook page for those of you who want to read and become familiar with it, or you can reach out to me and I can email you a copy, or you can pick up a copy out front at the town hall. I know there are a number of questions that have come in on our COVID-19 page, and if Dennis, you were kind enough to fire off the question, I'll see what I can do to answer those for people's concerns.
Sure. I think the biggest question, Bruce, is the sort of when does it apply to them? Our understanding has been when they're in the grocery stores, Home Depot, etc.
I mean, the big part is when you're out in areas where there's a congestion, or if you're off at the supermarket or store where you're going to be in close contact with people, where you're unable to maintain that 6-foot social safe distancing. If you were out walking in your neighborhood or riding your bike in your neighborhood or something like that, obviously you wouldn't have to do it. Or if you're riding in your car, or you're by yourself or something like that, or when you're in your own home social network there, you wouldn't have to wear a mask at your home location. It's, when you're going out and you're intervening with people that you mostly you don't know. You don't know if this person is symptomatic or not, because there's a fair number of people running around that have it and don't know it. It's to protect you when you go into the store. It's to protect the person at the store, so that the droplets and the coughing and sneezing is cut to a minimum, therefore, cutting down any potential spreading of the virus.
So it's primarily when you're in a public place. Obviously, we're not wearing masks right now. We're not open to the public. We're keeping our social distance.
Correct. I mean, if somebody were to come to the counter, obviously, like in the clerk's position, if he had to notarize something like that, Larry would be wearing a mask, and we would ask that the person coming in would be wearing a mask.
I was at Stop and Shop this morning around 8 o'clock, and I didn't see anyone not wearing a mask, employees and shoppers.
I think one of the things that offended a lot of people, to be candid, was the threat of arrest that was reported on Channel 7 and large fines.
Inadvertently, they're looking for show quality. Get the ratings up. It's not our intent to arrest anybody. That's to protect the store against the belligerent person that's trying to gain access to the store that's going to cause a scene. And then it's stated that they would be trespassing. That arrest is part of the trespass rules and regulations, Mass General laws. It's not meant that if you're not out with your mask, we're going to arrest you. It's when you become difficult to deal with, and the police would be called in and involved in that in any matter, and you'd be subject to arrest.
So we're looking for people to comply with
Right.
this.
We're just looking
We're
for
not
people
out
to
there.
comply. We're not out to arrest anybody. More than likely, if you're seen without a mask, you're going to get a warning. If you're habitual about it, then obviously, the fine would get triggered into it. But, this whole thing is to protect you and to protect the person that you're coming in contact with. you know, we don't want to be out having to police and enforce all that. We'd hope that everybody would, you
I
know,
think the other side of it is
be
we don't
responsible enough.
we don't have the manpower to be out policing and enforcing.
Nor
something
do
like
we
this.
want to put somebody that's potentially contaminated into one of the cruisers and cause, you know, our public safety people to be exposed.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce. Apparently, we had about a dozen questions that came through the portal. Some have some overlap, and I think, Dennis, you have a few other that you want to cover.
I do. Quite a few of them had to do with the mask, which means people are taking advantage of that COVID-19 at bellinghamma.org for their questions. So go to our website. If you have questions, we'll certainly address them here. One person has asked, I've been making cloth masks and have extras, 10 to 15, and I guess this person continues to make them. Is there anyone in the community who has need of them, nursing homes, etc.? Esther, where should they drop something like that off? Or Mark, where would they drop something like that off? I know they wouldn't be for first responder protection, but possibly to provide to people that are interested in the community. Anybody have any suggestions?
Go ahead, Esther.
I actually don't have a suggestion for drop-off, but I do know that there were a lot of seniors that were looking for masks, and if this person is willing to donate them, I will take their contact information and be in touch with Josie to identify potential people who could utilize them. But as you said, they would not be able to be used for our first responders at this time.
Great. We'll email that person back and let them know that. Esther, we had a question here from an individual. We had a confirmed case at our facility last week. The employees that were exposed to this person, should they quarantine for 10 days? There's a lot of uncertainty on what we should do, knowing this person was working among us. We scan for temperature each morning. Masks are mandatory, and work areas are disinfected. Even with all that, we've had several people that worked with this individual out with symptoms. So I think this could be any business, anywhere. And essentially what the person is saying is, got a fellow employee who came down sick. What should I do?
So essentially the protocol at this time is if you have a confirmed case in your place of employment, the public health nurse of that confirmed case should be doing the investigation to determine who was potentially exposed. After those individuals are identified, meeting that exposure criteria, meaning they're less than 6 feet apart, they're more than 15 minutes in contact, they're not wearing any personal protective equipment, the potentially exposed individual's public health nurse should be then notified and outreach should be made. In regards to people being sick and out and being tested, that's exactly what they should be doing. You know, unfortunately, there are a number of cases where people are asymptomatic, and we don't know about them. So if you are sick, if you are not feeling well, definitely do not go to work. Stay home and call your healthcare provider to determine if testing should be done.
Next question. Okay, this one's not for you. They want to know when the recycling center is going to be open. That's mine. I know how important masks are, but I guess what they're asking is why is it that a month and a half ago it was being suggested that you don't need to wear masks or you shouldn't, and now people are being encouraged to wear masks? So
as everyone knows, this is a brand new virus, which means we don't know a lot about it. We're still learning every single day on how this virus behaves and how it's transmitted and how people are obtaining the virus. So now that more information has come out and it is thought to be, you know, droplet, more aerosolized, the masks are protecting you from potential contact with those droplets, as well as in regards to those people who are positive and do not know that they're positive. They're protecting individuals from being exposed to that person. We're going to learn more about this virus every single day, which unfortunately means our guidelines and suggestions are subject to change. And that's just to protect the health of everyone.
Next question. How long would an asymptomatic non-diagnosed COVID-19 positive patient be contagious?
You know, the current CDC guidelines are geared towards the asymptomatic person who has tested positive. And in that case, those individuals who have tested positive and have no symptoms are advised to be in isolation for 7 days. It is thought that for the most part, people who have symptoms, you're considered contagious for either 2 days before your symptoms start or up to 7 days after you've started having symptoms. But in regards to someone who hasn't been tested and is asymptomatic, you know, unfortunately, the data just isn't there because we don't know about those individuals. Therefore, we can't do any testing.
Could you please explain about the 15-minute time needed for possible exposure and infection? Not sure how to word this question. Why do I keep hearing 15 minutes? I keep thinking that if you came in contact with an infected person for less than 15 minutes, your chance of being infected would be there. Please clarify.
Sure. So the current guidelines, as I said, is exposure greater 15 minutes or greater without personal protective equipment in less than 6 feet distances. And the reason that is because, again, because of those droplets and how long the droplets stay in the air, how many droplets are expressed every time we speak, cough, sneeze. If you have limited exposure to that individual, then the risk of transmission is less. I can't guarantee that you haven't been exposed if you're not wearing PPE, but if you're wearing a mask, if you're keeping your 6 feet, then you're really protected and your risk is much less.
Thanks,
I don't know
Esther.
if that answers the question, but that's the best information that I have right now.
Great. Thank you. Very insightful as always. I know it's a changing environment, and as we said at the beginning, every day seems to present new challenges and new information. And one of the things that we're trying to do here today and every morning is to give people the latest and greatest information that we have. And one question that I get asked regularly is, when will the recycling center be open for non-yard waste like heavy metals? Unfortunately, we're not going to open this weekend. I was hoping we'd be able to open this weekend. We're going to be looking at next weekend, but again, it's going to depend on how things are progressing at that point in time. We'll have a discussion about that to determine when it's safe to get that center open. It's not just the people coming in. We have quite a few volunteers that work down there in the senior tax program, and we have quite a bit of staffing there, and we want to make sure before we open that up, we can keep everybody safe. It is open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for yard waste, so we'll continue with that.
Dennis, on that subject too, I received a fair number of phone calls, people wanting to dispose of the hazardous waste. Are we going to have a hazardous waste day this year? Or is that something that will get postponed until later this year? Or?
We do have a hazardous waste day every year in either May or June. And this year, for some reason, when we were scheduling, we couldn't get a date in May or June. They pushed us all the way back to July 12th. We weren't happy about it, but as it turns out, July 12th, hopefully it'll be a good date. We'll be able to have our hazardous waste day on time. It's a Saturday. I'm saying July 12th. It's on our website. I'm pretty sure it's the 12th of July, Saturday, the second Saturday in July. So as of right now, we'll be going forward with that hazardous waste election day. Obviously, as we get close to it, if there's a need to revisit that, we will. But right now, July 12th is still on for our hazardous waste election day.
Good to know. Thank you.
Two final points for me before I turn it back over to Mark. It's a pretty dreary day out there today, but tomorrow looks exceptional. Just to remind everyone that the track is open, but the parks and facilities around town are closed for gatherings. Has been updated. And the second point, at our 9 o'clock meeting, chair for the school committee updated us on Zoom meetings that were held yesterday. There were 112 families up to grade 5 that signed in for a call, and 188 families in the 6 to 12 bracket. So 300 families tuned in to get updates from Mr. Morano and the school department. School department's near and dear to my heart. Read in the Boston Globe this week that the unions had just figured out remote learning in Boston. And I would just like to pass out props to our school department. They hit the ground running day one with remote learning. It's not easy to have parents at home and still have kids tune in for some of those sessions, but I think the teachers have gotten immensely creative, and they're doing their best in a difficult situation. So our teachers in our school department are working hard day in and day out, and today is a welcome day off for them. This would have been school vacation week, and they did work for most of this week. So with that, Mark, I'll send it back over to you for some final thoughts.
All right, great. Thank you very much. And I just, before I go to my phone numbers, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and continuing with the questions. It makes us believe that everybody out there is watching and learning every day. So if you have any coronavirus issues or concerns regarding about Massachusetts, you can call 211. If you have any questions in regards to your place of work, you can call the Mass Attorney Generals at 617-727-3465. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and for being in attendance. Have a great day. Be safe.
Have a nice weekend.